Okay, let's do this. We want to add a file field to a component and upload a file. So I am going to use this demo component. It's got a few admin views. We've got here is like look, and I've got a side view looks and looking. So I'm going to add this field to the look admin view. But I first need to create the field, and we need to sort of look at the steps that we'll need to implement. Currently JCB doesn't out of the box actually address this. We might think of doing this maybe in the future, but because of some of the security risks, it's actually best you do this yourself, because then at least you're in control and the risk is really yours, and not not to put anyone else at risk. Okay, so you're uploading a file. The field we want to use already exists in in field types. So if you go to field types, there is a field called file. Let me just see, where is it? Must be in the next one. Yeah, there we go, file. Now this, obviously everything in here was taken from Joomla's documentation. So it shows you a whole lot of attributes, their values, some of the descriptions, but it also shows you where to actually get more info on this. And so it's always good to actually do that. Okay, so here we are. We scroll down and there's the file field. So it actually now has this new accept parameter, which is a nice little extra which wasn't available when I first set it up. So if yours doesn't have it, you'll see that I actually have since added it, if I remember correctly. Oh, it's not showing up here. Okay, so might have just as well added now then. So you're under size. Let's add that new attribute. So it's accept. The value, I'm going to leave it to being image, and it can be changed. Well, let's give it some information as regarding description. Just copy that and place it in here. Okay, so we've got this new attribute set. So those of you running the latest release of JCB might already have this there. It only gets added if you do a fresh install. It doesn't update the database with these values. So okay, great. Save and close. So we got our file type set. If we go to files now, and we can create a new file, field. Did I say files? I mean field. And we select the file. Come on. You'll see that it gives you the information, and there's that new attribute available to us. And you'll see that it's also showing up here. And so this is the beginning of actually setting up the file field type into your component. I'm just going to call this file, and then here we can just say file and choose it. Well, let's call it image. Yeah, and here we say image. Choose the image from your computer, and most of these other values we could actually take away. We'll come back to this once we've added it to the component and started looking at some of the other things that must be done, because this is only step A. There are actually 3 steps to take, of which this is the easiest. So we have here image. Yeah, we don't need to say that, just save and close. Okay, now we go to our admin view, and that's this look. I'm going to go directly to its fields, so I could just add that file field type. I'm a little bit chunked in here, so I'm going to zoom out a bit. Okay, where will I place this? There are two tabs. I think let's do it in the more area. Just add at the bottom here, more, and image, and we'll see there are quite a few files here. Image, I think it should say file, there we go, and that should do it. Let's make it full width for now, and then one, there's just one, and save and close. So now if we were to open the admin view, we should see the new field has been added, and it is set to being in the full width of the tab, in the more tab, and we could actually now compile the component as a beginning to see, okay, how's it going to work out. So we compiled it, and then install it, then have a look at it. Let's say create a new demo and go to more. So here we see the file. So it's telling us file 1. Okay, we have a problem here. Let's see. We've got two fields with the same name, image. So I'll have to go change this. Let me go back. I'm going to uninstall this. It's going to be the easiest way to do that. And then go back to the fields. Of course, it's the last one I'm created, so I'll just go to the end, image, and let's change this to banner. I think that will be okay. Oh, not the type. Okay, so I think we'll use banner, and we call this also a banner. So it stays the field type is file, but we'll use the label banner, and save and close. Now let's try again. You know, if you have two of the same fields, meaning exactly the same name, JCB automatically calls the name with being image 1 and the other one image 2, and doing that is not good practice. It usually doesn't come out right in certain events, especially with history, because it's only tracking one field, right? And when it actually checks the history, that field name doesn't match any field. So when it comes to the history and updating of the database, automatically as you add new fields, using the same field multiple times is not recommended. Okay, so let's try this again. And then install it. Now if we go and have a look, we should see a different reality here. Great, banner. It's got all the necessary information. Obviously this is set in your server, tells you that, and now you can click here and select a image. So I'm gonna do that. So I've got this autumn tree forest that I've selected, and I need to add a name and some, yeah, that seems to be all I need to do, and then save. And we have a problem. That was a little glitch that none of you should have. I tampered with some of the validations in a previous tutorial. Anyway, now I fixed it, and as you can see, when I saved the item, it actually didn't upload anything, so the file is not in my system, and that's where usually all of you would sort of end up. Okay, so you've used the file, you've selected the banner or whatever you wanted to upload, and it just nothing happened. And that's because there needs to be a server side which needs to actually validate the file, move the file, and check the file, everything, make sure that it's a correct file, secure the file, and then place the file's path back into this field when it puts the value in the database. And it's that process which is to be custom coded. Okay, so let's go back to our component and let's do it. One of the things I like to do before I actually start coding anything is really look under the hood. Look at what's going on, especially if it's the first time I'm doing it. So, since many of you, this might be your first time, I'm going to show you some of how this is done. And it's like inspecting what's going on under the hood and how can I use it. So I'm going to open this item again, and I'm going to again select our image, and then having the image selected, I'm going to go to the code. So I know where the code is for this website, right? So I'm going to go into my editor, and I'm going to the admin area of this component and of this view, this model, into where it actually saves the values. So follow me there. So here we have the component, wait, not this one, that one, Joomla mount, then admin, administrator, components, demo, and then models, and look, we want to go there, double click, and we got it open. And you could just go to almost the bottom of the file, somewhere there, and look for the save method function, really. That's where we want to sort of poke, because it's at this point where all the data from the browser is available to us, and we should be able to access it. Now you could write a helper class and put it in your helper function and use the same uploading sort of class if you want to reuse it, but you could also script it right in here, and I'll show you how to do it that way. Obviously I like reusing scripts, so the helper class idea is more appealing because I put it there, and everywhere I use this field type for file uploading, I just also use this helper class to deal with moving the data and using it. Okay, so for now what we're going to do is we're going to var dump some values just to the screen when we click save in the UI, so to see what happened. So let's do that. So basically one is the actual data that is available here, and the other is this, we're getting the input and I'm going to check in files, what do we have there in the input of the application. And so okay, we're going to save these changes, then go back to the website and basically just click save. Okay, so now we got a dump. Now if yours doesn't look like this, it might be because you do not have Xdebug installed on your server. You would then want to add some sort of formatting, something like this. You'd say echo pre, yeah, something like that should do it. Just to sort of add some formatting that doesn't just bulge into one line. Okay, I don't need that. I've got Xdebug, so it does it for me. Okay, so now here we have the data, and we see that our where is it? Banner B. It's not even in the data list, but that's okay. If you scroll down, you see we dumped a different set of data. And it actually, if we scroll a little, we'll see that it has a protected value called JForm, name, type, temporary name, error, size, all that kind of information. And then in the temporal name it has the actual file name, banner, with its temporal location. So it creates a temporal location for the file. It tells us the type is image, a JPEG, and it also gives us the file name. And so this is the array which you want to actually get hold of, and with whom you would want to, yes, make changes, move that image, give it its correct name back after validating it and doing whatever sanitation is required, and then saving that value back into the banner data position, which should be in this first array here, but it isn't there, but it should be here. So you should actually just create it. Okay, so going back to the code, let's do some of that. Now there's a nice get function here. We can just say jform, as you remember that was where the data is, and that we want all the values back as an array, or that it should be null if there is none existing. So we're going to save that and then just upload the file again to see, you know, how does it look now. I have to do it again because the previous values are actually gone. So we'll click save again, and there we go. We get a little different array, but more useful and easier to parse. And now we can take the next step to actually check that this array exists. There is a function already, or a class in Joomla, which already does all of this for you. In fact, I would say let's go look at that, and let's just copy some of those functions. In fact, let's copy the function and adapt it to our needs and just put it into our class. So in components, you go to the installer, then the model, and then on install, and you scroll down till you see one that says get package from upload. I think is what it says. Yeah, get package from upload. This is the function which is really ideal for the task. It takes care of a lot of sanitizing. It has a lot of error checks in it, and it should be, useful for us in this case. We'll obviously take some stuff away and add our own little messages, so we don't depend on the installer messages. So we'll just copy this whole function all the way up there. Just control copy it, go to look, our class, and for now I'm just going to paste it in here above. So there are some key things I would like to change here. For example, I'm thinking let's change the function name, and we call it my upload function for now, and we're gonna pass it the input, so we don't want that to be done twice. And we know that this is going to be JForm, and we definitely don't want to have raw because it's an image. We want this to be array, so we can actually check the values. And then this looks fine. We can say here uploading of images not available. No, wait, instead uploads are not enabled in PHP. That seems fine. Okay, we could actually take these messages and put them in here, because JCB is going to grab this once we put it into our component. I'm going to add it to our language file for our component, and this is really, we want to make sure that that happens. We don't need glib because we're not going to unzip anything, so we could actually remove this part. Now it's going to check whether we have actually got a file set of files here. So it's going to check whether that user file is an array, and if it's not, it wants to say the file was not, no file was selected or no file was uploaded. So we can just type that in. If at this point we detect any errors, we basically want to, raise those errors and actually break out of this upload. So let's see. Upload error, warning, upload error. I suppose we need to go look at these language strings in the language file of the installer to correctly translate these. For now, I'm not going to do that, so I'm just going to say error. You can, do that on your own. Okay. Now, what we want to check here is our upload size. We want to make sure that our upload size is what we expected. Is the maximum upload size too small in the PHP INI? And that's really what's happening here. And so again, it will give an error saying file too large. There we go. The same here. It's checking again. This time it first checked whether it's in the INI file. Here it actually checks the file size, that there is a file size. And so we can again say upload error. Again, you should just check what is the actual file language string and replace that with the English version here. Okay, then we build the appropriate path. We take the file name, create the path. We create this temporal src, which is source path, and then we move the file with the jfile upload. Now at this point, the file is being uploaded to the server, and there are some validations still to do. In our script, but we actually just grabbed from the uploader class, we do this unpack. Now we don't need unpack. We want to do some other things here which are more appropriate for our purpose. First thing, I'm going to actually move the get classes function up a few lines, and also make sure to have the folder class actually available in case. Then I'm going to clean the name so that everything is fine and well, that anywhere later we might not have any issues. Okay, so then we still have what we did here before. This actually is going to be replaced with a little function which I've sort of started writing called check upload. I'm going to change this function as one of my own sort of functions which I've already adapted for other projects in the past, and like you've seen, I've already moved this one out, and that one can stay like that. So over here we are going to just do a little checkup to actually make sure that the package which we are actually going to give back and which we'll use to store in a database and all the rest is actually, a-okay. So here we're just going to grab the result of this, which basically going to be true or false, and we're going to check. If it's false, we're going to say something like upload failed. Okay, and then if we're still going, we're going to actually do this check. So now we've got this check upload in place, and we're first going to get the format from the file, and then we're going to use a little custom script here to validate our format. I've got in my component, I usually set formats that I allow. So it's a global thing. That means in your component you would have to actually go in and add config drop down with a list of allowed formats. Now, to sort of sidestep that, and instead of trying to explain all that, I'm just going to go and remove this function here. You could, you know, pause this and copy that down if you know what I'm talking about, but then in that case you don't need to pause this, you know how to type it. So I'm going to remove that and just add, you know, some formats which I think, okay, I'm okay with this JPEG. I'm okay with that format, and I'm also going to be okay with JPEG. Okay, obviously we add the dot there, and maybe GIF. Let's see. Oh wait, PNG, and then GIF. So those are the formats that I'm going to say, yeah, those are fine. Of course, because it's really the file extension that we are checking here, right? So we're not going to use a global value here. We're just going to use the file format, allowed file formats. And then here, we're basically going to check, is this file format in this array? If it's not, we're going to say invalid file format. And there we go. And it's going to error out. But with this error out, we'll need to do some house cleaning. So we'll have to look at that at a moment. So what I think I'll do is I'm going to also pass it the destination of where we've moved the file. And then, because that's where the file currently is, right? So here we've got the temporal destination, which is really in the temporal path, the temporal folder of the Joomla website. It's not where we want to end up. It's just where we're going to keep the file until we're happy that it's safe. And so, okay, we've got it in the temporal destination. We've moved it up there. And now we checked if something happened. Yeah, fine. Do the check the upload. And here, if we now find that this actual file is problematic, we're going to have to remove it. So we're going to have a little class here, and then we're going to say remove, let's say file. I think that's right. And we're going to write this little remove file in a moment. Okay, so let's say for our reason, you'll see here I've got a lot of validation whether the user actually has permission to upload stuff. Now that again, I'm going to remove that for now because, yeah, it's going to be a little bit beyond the scope of what we're explaining. Now I want to pass a package back which we are happy with, saying this is actually where our file is and what its name is. And so we're going to just do that. So that's the directory, and that is the package name. And we're going to pass that back as the package. We could, since we've got the format, and maybe you want to store that, we could also add that to the array. So there we go, everything looks good. Got the package name, directory path, as well as the format, and we return that back as the package, and we give that back to the model where the save function is going to call this. So in the save function, we're going to call this here. Oh yes, and we said we are going to pass it the input field, the input value. Since we're already getting it, why get it again? So we're going to pass that over here. Let's see, something like that. Okay. That looks good. So now all that needs to be done is over here, instead of this function, we can now do the following. This my upload function and the input. There we go. So I will actually end up with that package information right in this variable, and we can then just exit out to see how that will look. And even if we've got some typo errors here, oh yes, we still need to create the remove file if we have a problem. Okay, so why do we need to remove the file? Well, all the way up till here, the file is actually not on the server. It is somewhere in memory, somewhere in limbo. And if something happens and we return false here, we don't need to do anything. It's not really anywhere. It's just going to just disappear. Same with it happening here or there or any of these other errors before here. But the moment we do this, we're actually moving the file to the server. And it is now, if that is true, it is on the server. And so when we pass the destination and the file name here to check upload, we already have the file on the server. And so if we then discover that this file's not legit, we don't want it, we must remove it. Or any other checks we do, even if it's something more complicated than this, you must remove it because it's on the server. And so our little remove function, I'm trying to save us some unnecessary things. I'm going to also snipper it up a bit because we're already up here. We got the classes for the file in the folder, so we don't need to load that again. We're going to pass it the destination, which is the folder, and we're gonna, yeah, that's gonna be fine. So all of this we are able to actually clear that out, and hey, we don't need this, we just need the package name. So here we're gonna ask, is it a file? Then delete. Then if there's something not right, we're gonna do clean path and just check again and delete. And this should remove the file from the server. You can test that. If something's wrong, just Google it and tweak it, but this should be okay. So we're gonna basically pass it the destination path, which is the one to where we moved it, remember, up here. So that's the same path we are passing all the way down to the remove function, and then it will clear it out for us. And if everything is fine and it doesn't need to, we're going to continue on and then pass it back here to the package, which will be returned to our save method. So all of this code that I just wrote here now, I'll take it and dump it on GitHub as a gist. So you could go there. I'll give the a link to it. But this is quickly coded. I mean, I'm sure that you could improve it. We copied and pasted stuff from other other classes to sort of get this working. But there's nothing really too extravagant here. The only thing here that we didn't go into is exactly what does clean do and what does upload do and those kind of things. But you can obviously go through the Joomla libraries and check exactly what does it do. But for the most part, it's just generic PHP functionality. And so yes, that it would be enough to actually upload the file. So let's give it a spin. So we're back over here. If we click on this, it will actually take us out of the item. So we can just click back there, then name, and we would have again to select the actual image. So there we have the image, and we can click save and see what happens. Oops, we got a bunch of errors here. Okay, let's see. Undefined index, undefined index. Oh, we got trouble. Let me go see why. Okay, so I didn't pay close attention here. I'm just going to do another var dump so I can get the exact way to sort of most possibly need to do a for each. It might want to upload more than one, but or we could force it to just use the first. I think I wrote something about this already somewhere. Let me just check. Okay, I think this should do the trick. If it's an array, we just want to grab the first value out of the array. If you've got multiple fields that are uploading files in the same view, you're going to have to change this little chunk here, because then you're going to have to deal with each of those files in a for each loop inside of this function, which basically would mean you could skip all these as they are global to every one of them, and then from about here you would add a for each loop, because you would, okay, and then here you won't echo, you won't break out, you'll just grab the error into an array, which you will eventually then pass, targeting each specific package really, and then return here all the successes as well as the errors and handle it somewhere else. So since we're just uploading one file, I'm not gonna do all that. I'm just gonna grab that first value, and we're gonna work with that first value, and that should do it. Okay, let's go back and try again. Save. Again we have a problem. Not user files. User file. Sorry. User file. User file. Could become so little changes like that can throw out errors. Okay. And at last we actually have the file on the server. What I had to do is I had to take away these points here. I had that part wrong, so it won't need the actual point and actually be without it. And you'll see that now there is our file in our temporal folder. It is actually on the server, and it also, we have the path and we have the name and all of those things. In fact, everything now is good. We can now move the file to its final location. Now we could deal with moving the file to its final location here in our save class, or we can again have another function which we pass this value to, which then moves the file to where we would want every image file to go. Okay, let me quickly type that out. So here in our package we've got the file name, so that's really important, and we've got the full path, which is where the file currently is and what its format is. We could actually have more values in this if we wanted. We could do something like this. Instead of just passing that user file name and name, pass it the whole the whole array like that, and then here we change that to archive, and then here we do that, which actually means we've got this array to our it's available. So instead of doing check, we can then do package name, and then dir and format, and return the archive package. Now we'll have all the information which we actually were using even up here. We'll have all of that information to our disposal. Of course, also need to change this to that. Well, you know what? The name is already there, so instead of package name, we could just be satisfied with the name. Okay, and then we could call this full path. Yes, so that will be the only information that we're adding, or it's really new, is these two values. So we can just do that, and now our array looks full. It's got the type, the temporal, original temporal, obviously that's no longer there. Any errors that might have come up, the size of the file, the full path, and the format. So we've got all those information to use. Now, at the end of the day, the only information we're really going to keep is up to us. We could decide to keep the size of the file. We could decide to keep its format. It is really up to us. And really, I'm not going to go into how to deal with all that. We just have one name field, how would you say, column in the database called banner, in which we are to place our final information. And that information should be the path in relation to the image folder where we have placed this this file. So first, I'm going to get some constants to use. I like just using this root, as that is always going to be the root path to our website. And then next, actually add just the path to the images. It's where we're going to place our image. So I'm going to copy this. So we're going to just add the path in relation to the root folder to the banner in the database. Now, you do realize that this is actually just for you. It's so that you know where the file is later. You will then, on the front end of the site where you're going to use this value, you'll have to, when you get the value from the database, you'll still need to create the actual image HTML tag to actually load the image, or whatever you're going to do with this file. You're going to still have to code that. Nothing of that's going to be done. You're going to just at least have the path to exactly where the file is, because you're storing it that way in the banner column. That's the field. Okay, and now here we're taking the root path and that exact value, and we are moving the full path which we build up here, right, which is the actual current destination. We are going to move it from the full path to the final destination, and that is really it. At this point, we've got the image on the server, and we are moving it to the correct location, and we are storing the value in the database, and we're done with saving and uploading the actual value as that would be all that's required. Now, in any of these steps, you might want to be more do some more things, be more secure, be more validating, because it's not only images you're obviously going to be uploading. If you're uploading PDFs, if you're uploading other kind of content, you're going to have to do some Googling to anywhere in these steps, especially in this check upload area, to do the correct validation, because at this point the file is on your server and you need to make sure that it's the right file. Now, this isn't airtight, because this really just checks that the file's type is one of these, the extension. It doesn't actually validate the file to really being an image. There are more secure ways to do that, but some of them are a little bit more if you do use them, the server side, if your application is going to be running in shared environments, then it will cause problems, because some of those functions are not available in all shared environments. But if you want to be like very specific, you could actually help the user along who uses your application to enable those functions on their server, and by that giving them extra security with uploading of files. This is obviously a very big topic, which I don't think we have time to go into in that depth. But in general, this sort of implementation is really how most are doing it. And yet, let me not get you too concerned. This should be okay. Now, we have moved everything in place. Let's give that a trial run. So it says that it's been saved successfully, but no file selected is shown here. Now, we might want to show the file that is now currently in the database instead of this upload, or show the upload still, But let's say someone decides to upload another one, that it actually changes it and removes the old one and adds the new one and displays the little image here as it is in the database. Now let's first see, is it in the database? Okay, so here in the database we see there is our file, and it is actually said to be in images, autumn, trees, forest, building, grass, .jpg. That is where it is. Okay, now let's see if it actually was moved to that place. So here in the folder structure we're going to open images. We're going to click here on images, then scroll down and see. There it is, autumn tree. You can see it there. Yep, it is in its place. So the actual image does now exist in the image folder. It has been uploaded and it actually is in the database, although our little snippet there says that it can't, see it. Before we continue with that kind of custom scripting, we need to take what we have done so far and actually add it to JCB. We've done it in the IDE, and if we compile and install this component now, it will actually override everything you've written, and boom, it's gone. So what to do? Let's go grab that custom scripting and add it to the component in JCB. Okay, so we want to grab everything from upload, my upload function. We want to do check upload and remove file. All of that we want to get. So we're going to say cut, and we've got that in the clipboard. Then go to JCB, and in the look admin view, which is where all this is happening, we're going to open up. Then there's a place called custom buttons. We're going to say yes here, and then there is the controller method. We're not adding anything there, but here is the model method, and so this is a place for us to actually add some script to the model, and we're going to just paste what we've cut out right in here. And over here in the list controller we're not adding anything, and also in this list controller we're not adding anything. So we're basically just adding that which we've written to the model method. Add your PHP here. It's going to go into the model as methods. So this is the methods. That's a method, and that is obviously a method. So all of these are methods. We want it to be available to the class from now on. We are not actually at this point dealing with if you upload a new file that it removes the old one. That should still be further custom scripting. And so at this point I'll just add the new file. It won't remove the old one. So it could be that he's adding more files and more files, and it just gets added to the image folder, but it's not being removed. You have the remove file function already here, so you could actually you could actually fix this quite easily, but I'm not going to show you how to do that. I want to encourage you to study up some of your PHP as well. Now here we need to also add obviously the script that we're adding to the save method. So here is the PHP save method before data modeling. This is where we want to actually jump in, and like it says there, the values are in the data array. So we're just going to go back to the IDE and scroll down to, sorry, this time it's up, just going to scroll up to this little snippet here, because this is everything new, right? I'm gonna just copy that, or let's cut that as well and go back to the JCB interface and paste that in there. Okay, so now we have our in the save method before modeling, we have this little snippet that will be executed, and the same goes with in the custom buttons. We've got in the models, we've got our classes that are being added. Now we said if we open the item, So that means after we've saved it. We want to actually take the value in this banner and we want to display it in the page. Now there are many ways to do this. Since we already have this value, it shouldn't be that hard. So JavaScript to the rescue. I'm going to use JavaScript to do this. So we have add JavaScript to the view file or add JavaScript to the view footer. So that means we can decide where to add the JavaScript. Do we want to add the JavaScript in a file that gets included in the header of the document, or do we want to add it at the bottom of the view as a snippet? Okay, that is really we want to do it because we want to use PHP. So we're going to actually do some PHP in this area here, whereas in this file area we cannot do PHP. So to show you exactly where this is going to come out, we're going to just add a comment here, add JavaScript here, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do PHP. PHP also works, and we're going to save that. Now we actually can go out of here and go compile this component and install, and then go look at its code. So here in our save class we have upload image, and that is all good and right. Now let's search for our function here, and there is our function also in the same class, been added through JCB interface, so it was not lost. It's not exactly the same place where we originally placed it, but it is in the same class, and it's what we want. We want those classes to be available to us here. Okay, so that part is still good. Now we want to go look at the view and see where that JavaScript is going to be added. So we'll just close images here, then go back up and open the view. Then wait, where are we? This is the installer. We want to go to the demo, that one, and view, and then look and edit. So we are looking at that specific view, and you see here is the JavaScript. Okay, so it's added it to our script area, and I actually am able to do PHP echo in the script area, which is what we are going to do. We're going to check whether that banner value is available to us on this page, and then we are going to use it to actually render the image in its appropriate place. Now, to know where the values are, we go back to its view html.php area, and we see that here it gets the item and it places it in the item global class value. So we have the value item. We can therefore check if banner is in the item. So what I will do, just so that you can sort of see what's happening, is I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to go back to the edit view where we put our HTML. I'm going to say just var dump that specific value and save, and so we can see all of that. So let's go to the interface. Okay, we actually have to add the word exit. J-exit is actually the correct way of doing it. J-exit to this, and go a little up because we got a little fader here that's going to hide this, and let's just take that out for now so we can see what's going on. And then let's refresh our page. Okay, so we got it all broken, that's fine, but here at the bottom, it's still not showing. Let's take it to the top. So we've added it here above everything. It should actually show now. Well, let's go see. Refresh. There we go. That's what we want to see. So we see that it is publicly accessible. There's the banner value. So we can check whether there is actually a value in this, whether it's a string and it has a value, because we know we're controlling that value. The user cannot actually manually add that value there. It needs to do it through the upload field. So we can check whether that has a string, and if it does, we can just create a little, show the image underneath its appropriate placement. Okay, so that's how I get to see the value. So if you are dealing with something similar, you can do these kind of sort of poking into the result sets to see exactly where is what and how does it look and how do I get to it, and yeah, that way you're not dependent on always sort of not knowing what's going on. So now here back in JCB, we're going to say if it is set and if it is a string. I'm using the helper class here. We've got a function in the helper class called check string to see whether it has a length and that it is a string, not an array or a boolean or something like that. Now this is the way you can sort of use the helper class. You use this brackets, component, and then bracket, helper, colon, and there you go. And if that is true, we want to obviously load the image because then it exists. Now we want to see where do we want to add this image, and it's actually underneath the upload. I'm just going to have it show up like a normal image. So we're going to just do some jQuery to do that. Okay, so we are doing this image source and we're echoing the item banner because we know it's a string. We're going to add a class here. Now you can target this class and make it nice with CSS. Just add your CSS here to view. Just here you can add your CSS. So here you just add the class name that you're going to target with your CSS, and you can do all kind of nice things with it. We're going to have alt of banner, and we're going to insert it after the banner field. So the way we know what this value is we open one of those views like so, and we drill down until we find that. So we use our inspector, grab maybe the banner label, then drill until we find the ID JForm banner. That's how I get it, okay? And then we just add this after it, after the control group, so it looks nice, fits in with the layout, and nothing gets broken. Okay, so that should trigger it. So we're saying see if we have a banner. If we do, add this JavaScript. We're done. Save. Now let's compile and install. So compile, and install. Go back to our view and obviously close this and refresh. Now go to more, and voila, there is our image. Now to show you it in action, we're going to change the image. It won't remove the old one, but it will immediately show you the new one once we click save. So let's do that. So I've selected a different image from my computer. I'm going to click save and go back, and wow, there is the new image. So that is how you could implement the file field type in JCB. So as you can see, there's some custom scripting needed. I'm gonna quickly show you a URL where you can go and get this custom script and use it in your own component, and of course maybe adapt it, change it, at least use it as a place to start with, and start using the custom Joomla field type for uploading files. Thanks for watching. If there's any questions or even suggestions of how to do this easier or faster or safer, yeah, leave the comments in the here below the video. I'll be happy to look at it and make any necessary changes to our snippet. Okay, or even at the snippet itself, that might be a better place. In the gits, where the URL I'm going to show you now, you can go there and make comments there, and we'll just make pull requests and whatever, and we'll fix it up so that it works well for everyone. Thanks for watching.